Every recommendation I'm about to give, every manga, every anime I'm about to talk about has changed my life. But this video won't be life-changing. Everyone has their recommendations. Everyone has that something which they bring to everyone. They say, this changed my life, this made me a different person. These titles are usually the GOATs, the big names, the everyone who's read it has changed. There's no bigger joy in the world than someone coming back and saying, hey, your recommendation was sick, I really enjoyed it. And on the opposite end of that is, man, your recommendation was pretty damn mid, not gonna lie. I'm here to tell you about stuff that isn't life-changing. There's nothing particular about these manga, these anime, that will change your life. But the thing people don't talk about when it comes to media is, the response you have, no matter how generic, is unique to you. You're the only person who could have felt that exact way when you read it. Your perspective of life can't be emulated, it can't be simulated, it can't be copied one for one. Everything you have done, everything you will do, is all yours and yours alone. No matter how dirty and worn the path you walk is. Because even if two people walk the same road, there's no guarantee that those two people will see the same trees, will notice the same little cracks in the tiles. That's what makes media special. It's what makes that recommendation you gave mid for Larry from across the road. He doesn't necessarily feel that moment yet. There's something that'll resonate with him. But will it resonate with you? There's a reason why masterpieces are considered universal. They encapsulate the human experience. Every work does to some extent, but how niche and targeted that experience is can change the perspective someone sees the world. That's why this video won't be life-changing. It changed my life, because it resonated with me. If it resonates with you, good for you. But these are what made me. I used to think about these works as guilty pleasures. God, I hate that phrase. Some implication that I should be sorry about enjoying these works. There's something about humans and bringing forth guilt as some sort of retribution for enjoyment. This isn't taboo. This isn't criminal. Thus, I shall enjoy it as I will. It's a shame that I'll be stepping on the toes of another video I could make, but I might as well cover it here, since if you're at this point in the video, a revelation would help retention. If you want to continue the rest of this line of thought, I'll leave a timestamp on the screen. If I wanted to simply list a life-changing, I could start with One Piece, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Berserk, the media which people are so quick to give a 10 because they are genuinely some excellent works. But the realm of works from your high 7s to your low 6s are where you'll find that piece of media which really impacted that one person. I mean, some of you might even say something which is as mediocre as Persona 5 the animation is their life-changing work. Definitely not mine, but I don't shit-talk people's taste after I realize perspective changes things infinitely. The stuff I'm talking about is what Elisis would say is objectively bad, and I'd say, shut up weirdo, let me cook. Let's start with the release of Spyce. It's basically a magical girl show. I'd bet if it managed to land a little better with the kids, there'd be toys, there'd be figures, but no. Aside from a few Nendroids, the show that had alright animation or whatever story, and was generally whatever, would surprisingly end up as whatever in the annals of history. But I remember it. The story isn't as vividly in my head as it used to be. I mean, writing brain rot. I can hardly remember anything but my own works. But the banger opening and the characters that should have just been tropey and forgettable are as fondly remembered as I think back on One Piece, a manga that has literally followed my entire weeb life. Sometimes you don't know why you cry. And look, I'm not going to be afraid to say that it isn't actually that great. I'm not so out of touch to claim that it's some masterpiece. It's not that great. It'd be about as good as whatever villain of the week magical girl story you can name off the top of your head, aside from the fact that it's closer to Kingsman than it is to those magical girl stories. I'm just going to get into the ending because there was a contrived reunion of characters that felt forced, and the plot measured to develop, I think, May, the blonde older sister type of the group, but I never really noticed it at the time. But the bond between Momo and Yuki really stuck to me. So much so that the ending, where Yuki voluntarily relinquishes her life as a spy and has her memories of such overwritten to keep the secrecy going. Look, that doesn't sound all that great. Like, dude, these are high schoolers, not spiteful office workers that will end up trying to raise the establishment as they leave. I mean, it's treated like an idol's graduation, an allowance to let them return to the real world, which they left, to be normal again. It was this show that really got me to understand that some friends won't be there forever. Those bonds that are etched into my very essence may not even be the permanent marker dicks you draw on each other's faces at sleepovers. You aren't the main character. I think realizing that even main characters won't necessarily keep all those bonds till the end of time hurts. I think it allows me to appreciate the true mortality of relations. The time which you have with people can be taken away, even if it's by their own accord, and even if it isn't to hurt you. Sometimes people move on, sometimes lives change. I needed that to be told to me. But if you go and watch it, who knows what you'll see. I could be remembering it with those beautiful rouge glasses that everyone remembers their past in. The rosy tinted red is exactly how people remember it. I think that sometimes not revisiting keeps the things we learned clearer. Now we're moving into even more niche territory. AKB49, Renai Kinshi Jourei. You know something has left its mark when you try to write the script to a video recommending it 4 times and fall short 4 times. This time I'm not going to miss the mark. It's an idol manga, the first idol manga I read. It's not some, oh, I married an idol and now I'm going to slowly lose my connection as she gets more and more out of touch. No, this is a bona fide idol manga. It's about idols singing, dancing, and interacting with fans. This is the series that made me realize that sports manga isn't something about sports, it's a formula of surmounting impossible goals and challenging a future that shouldn't be yours. That's the sports manga way. It's all about working so hard that the future acknowledges your presence. I can't say why this is life-changing. I wish I could. I reread it after a turning point in my life, like one of those hallmark chapters in Mushoku Tensei that leave an irreversible impact on the story. I know some of my friends watch this channel, and I've already confided in some of my friends about this. Let's have a little deal. I'm going to like the comments which get it right, and you, as an earnest viewer, aren't allowed to divulge whether you got the truth or not. I'm not sure whether you'll see the likes, but I'd rather you interpret what the big dilemma in my life is, rather than I just say it. Let's call this some author's intention, but never explicitly written. Let's keep this as a reading comprehension question that really shouldn't be on the test. AKB49 Renai Kinshi Jourei is about a mega simp. The art is by Reiji Miyajima, and the story is by Motoazo Factory. Now, if one of those names is familiar, it's because Miyajima is known for the biggest cuck in manga history, a character so pathetic even serial self-inserts don't want to take his place. Reiji is a fantastic artist, and I think he took some inspiration from AKB49. It's really easy to see how. He was just trying to emulate the Giga Chad simp energy, rather than the pathetic wimpy Kazuya energy that he got. Urayama Minoru is somewhat apathetic. He likes a girl and he lives his normal life, before stumbling into luck and more luck and eventually finding the girl he likes at an idol concert, which he didn't even intend to go to. Yoshinaga, the girl he has a crush on, just thinks of him as a kindred spirit idol fan, and she tells him her ultimate goal. She wants to be an idol. Then he decides to take the convoluted method to help her. He learns how to cross-dress and then joins the audition with her. And surprisingly, they didn't ask him for any ID or anything. And suddenly, a tomboyish girl with dyed hair takes the stake as Urakawa Minori, a Superman-esque secret identity. The story has holes, and the ending has holes, but there are things in life you don't appreciate because of how perfect they are, but you appreciate it because the flaws add to the mark they leave. The story is a sports manga. Insurmountable goals, a ticket price of 100 American dollary dues for an idol show, and they have to sell out an entire hall. Then they have to go around all of Japan and help the other sister groups reach psychotic situations. If you wanted a sports manga without the sports, this is it. Though if we're talking about physical exertion, this has about the same amount of exertion as a sports manga. Maybe more. There are things which you read, and you get left with the void. An everlasting despair that latches onto your heart and clenches to the feelings you had as you read it. It yearns for the answers the work gave you. It yearns for another moment living that fictional life. You never get it back. Some people forcibly work it out of their system. My friend Taffy did that with Persona 5. I simply learned to embrace that feeling. It was part of me. This manga made me feel more than the hundreds of others I'd read, from cult classics to absolute horse crap. Urayama Minori left me with jealousy of something I couldn't have, whether it be the dedication, their power of love, or simply the fact that they fought till the end even in the face of their future dying. Sometimes you have to prune parts of yourself as you move on in life. That's natural. I think that there's a consistent thread which I fear. change. And the change which I can control with so much authority, but the effects of which would be disastrous. Now, before everyone's like, you said you aren't him. I'm not. I'm just saying the effects I'll have on my own life, and the lives of my close friends and family, which will be affected. Don't underestimate your presence in the world, and similarly, don't overestimate it. Finally, it's another niche manga, since if I ended this video too early, I wouldn't be leaving enough clues for my little challenge. Usotsuki Lily. I think there was a bit of a cross-dressing phase in the manga community at some point which I wasn't there for. I mean, there was a renaissance on r/manga, which lived for as long as the shitposter and translator extraordinaire Hachirumi existed for. But Usotsuki Lily is a shoujo manga. When you read a lot of manga, you'll dip your toes into the shoujo manga sphere. It's a diverse genre filled with self-inserts for all the lonely girls instead of lonely guys. I'm not sure what changed when I read this, but I'm absolutely certain the mark this work left on me is tremendous. There are some scars you'll never see. This work didn't leave scars, it left peaceful memories which no one will have to see. Sometimes the answer you learn isn't something which you can make peace with at the time. I mean, I had an extreme aversion to ecchi at some point in my life because there was some correlation between ecchi and trash can garbage. I learned recently that sometimes good work can use the sexual and make entertaining media that isn't bad. Usotsuki Lily was none of that, but I can really only understand why I liked it back then, now. I won't leave a synopsis since I hate when the videos I watch get bogged down in the blah blah blah. These aren't my guilty pleasures. These are my comfort media. Pieces of work I enjoy when I need to know that I'm doing alright. These works don't make me feel bad. They affirm my choices and help me keep fighting. Life isn't going to be an easy journey. I say this more for myself than for you. No matter the hurdle, enduring and pressing past the fold and entering the turbulence of the misty in-between will always be difficult. I'm sure you have those works. Everyone has those works. That one piece they return to whenever they need a little bit of a pep talk. A little bit of reassurance that they're doing alright. It's okay not to consult another person. Sometimes you just need a mirror, and a path which you can try and copy to live your own life. Media is a beautiful escape to a world which knows our world so fondly, but keeps it at an arm's length to avoid confusing you into thinking that it's possible. Fiction is fiction, but learning from fiction is real. The change you can get from a piece of work is real. But hey, I made a video just to talk about guilty pleasures and some things that made me. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. I'm not much from niche manga guy, but I'm sure there'll be someone else on YouTube if you want more of those. Subscribe if you want more of my video essay content. I'm planning on branching out a little, but it'll always be me behind the screen. Thanks again. If you ever need someone to say you're doing alright, I'll say it. You're doing alright.